Nobody can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go, sis.
KBLA Talk 1580. Happy Friday. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First. What's my first thing? Today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Let's go. Let's figure it out. We got a lot to talk about. It's Friday. Freedman Friday, to be exact, and we do Freedman Friday every week for a comprehensive reparations conversation, right? Making sure we're abreast of all that's going on, energized, and informed about what has already been done. That's what we do. We're committed to it. Second hour of our show, Rain, Shine, or Elections. Hour one, we look local. And hour two, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest, or we do hot topics, or we do, on Freedman Friday, our Friday last hour could be just about anything. And today, it's in the just about anything category. We have Dr. Christopher Towler, who is a political scientist who will help us understand or analyze or deal with what's going on in the presidential and other races. Okay, and for Freedman Friday this week we have Cam Howard. He's a businessman and an author, and he's with Reparations United. He is going to talk about his Earn the Vote and how that is going. Right now, though, I am joined by my colleague. He is a KBLA contributor. He's also the president of ES Advisors Group, a public affairs consultancy with over 20 years of experience doing public policy advising and advising electoral campaigns and community-based and business growth initiatives. Mr. Ed Sanders, good morning.
Dominique, good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy
Friday before an election.
Let me tell you, I think it's going to be Happy Wednesday, but Happy Friday indeed. I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to this election coming to a happy conclusion.
Yeah, it's been a long cycle. I mean, the presidential cycles start earlier and earlier and earlier. I mean, like by the time Wednesday rolls around, the next presidential cycle will start. And it's long. It's a long process.
And, so we don't have, it's short if you're Kamala Harris and you had a short runway, but it's long if you're the public that's been listening to election conversation for probably, I agree. This is one place where Tavis and I emphatically agree. I wish they would just shorten the whole election cycle because I feel like as soon as they get elected, they're campaigning. And that's not just president. It's every single office, pretty much. But anyway, we don't have a lot of time left to figure stuff out. So I thought maybe we would go over our ballots.
Let's do it. There's a lot on there to talk about.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe we should start at the other end. I'm not sure. I feel like, if we start at the top of the ticket, sometimes we don't get. Oh, okay. Yikes. We're having some technical difficulties with Mr. Cam Howard, so we're going to see what happens with that. Hopefully, he will be on for Freedman Friday. Between time changes and the election. There's a lot going on. So, let's start at the bottom of the ballot, if you don't mind, just because I feel like there's so much to cover. Sometimes we don't get all the way through it. Yep.
Indeed.
Okay, so I don't quite know where that is. I guess it would be the county or city measures for City of LA. We've been over these before, but maybe if we do a speed round, you and I can keep our comments brief and just kind of get through as much of it as possible. City of LA, that'll be quick. I already did this city council yesterday. District 2, Jillian Burgos versus Adrian Nazarian. I don't have a recommendation there. Most progressives pick Burgos. Thoughts?
I think I'm with you. I don't know much about that district, that race, so I don't have a recommendation in that seat.
LA City Council District 10, it's Heather Hutt versus Grace Yu. For the district I live in, I'm emphatically saying yes to Heather Hutt.
I'm as well. I served as a chief of staff to Councilmember Ludlow when he was the member in the 10th, and I've had the opportunity to work with and see Heather Hutt up close, and from the moment that she's taken over that seat, she has been really a real refreshing voice in City Hall. So emphatically endorsing Heather in this race.
LA City Council District 14, Isabel Jurado versus Kevin De Leon. And the LA Times putting their thumb on the scale this morning with a big piece about how supposedly Isabel Jurado doesn't support police and Kevin De Leon does. And I think that's kind of really, I put that in the dirty tricks category to put that article out on the Friday before the election, especially after Kevin De Leon's little operative tried to set her up at a town hall meeting where she quoted Eazy-E and said, F the police. She was quoting a lyric. And so I think that's kind of whack. I think Kevin De Leon has said F all of Black LA, F all of Indigenous LA, F all the renters. He's an abolitionist of Black people's power. I don't know why that is not more heavily weighted for folks in this race. So obviously I support Isabel Jurado, and I think it will be a huge blow to Black LA should Kevin De Leon win. I know you see things a little differently.
Yeah, I mean, I don't view whether he wins or loses as a blow to us. In general, I mean, I do think that district has some decisions to make. I tend to step back and look at that race and see where it goes. But I mean, look, in the face of everything that people have said, I think you can see that there is a new, fresher view of politics coming into city council. And whether you're looking at Hugo in what is that, District 13, Ulysses, Isabel is part of a coalition of younger, more energetic, elected
progressive,
officials coming to the forefront.
Yeah.
And that's really more the issue here. And,
okay.
and I think I would support her in that regard.
Right. So you're the pro rather than the anti. And I say KDL must go. I don't think you can make racist, anti-LGBTQ plus comments and it can go with no consequences. I don't think that would be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to frame that as though it's like, a slap necessarily to us. We don't have a significant vote in that district. That's you know what I mean? Like, I don't hold that as sort of a blow to our standing in the city if he were to win.
Yeah, I feel you. I think that's an optimistic way to look at it. So we'll move on. KDL must go is my position, and period, full stop. In the LA Unified School District, in District 1, there has been some controversy. That's the seat that George McKenna has held for all these years. And I'm backing Charlotte Hendy Newbill. There's been some controversy about whether or not she will be too eager to put cops back on campuses. But Khalid Al-Alim, her opponent, got into some controversy, and to me, I think he did show bad judgment in the way he handled it.
Yeah, I completely agree there. I've had a chance to meet and talk with Charlotte, on a number of different occasions. I see really a true spokesman for our community when we start looking at, the real issues that are facing our community on education, where we're coming out of COVID. I know we keep saying that, but we know what the disaster of COVID did to our education system, meaning how many kids are really 2 years back in their education process. And it is not like the scores for African American children have been, at the top, and it's always been a constant to try to improve that. And so I always look for a candidate that can keep that at the forefront of their mind.
I mean, the other thing is I liked her. Like, I've interviewed her. I met her a couple times, and I liked her. So that's that may be a dumb reason, but I'm going to vote for Charlotte Hendy Newbill.
That's not a dumb reason, though. I mean, like to throw that out there, like the reason why you like her is that she's an authentic candidate, right?
Yeah.
When you juxtapose that against the other candidate, it's clear for us that she's the one.
In District 3, you've got Dan Chang, a public school teacher, going up against Scott Schmerelson. I'm probably not even saying his name right, but I'm going with Schmerelson, even though I don't know how to say his name right, because from what I've seen, well, first of all, he's an incumbent, and he seems to he's got a lot of endorsements. He's pretty much universally endorsed by a lot of the progressive publications that I read and look at there. The LA Progressive, Knock LA, the Courage California, even the LA Times, although I always take their endorsements with a grain of salt. Your thoughts?
I'm the same. I think you and I are probably very similar in this, in that we don't have much interface with that office. And, I kind of look at it the same. I look at who's endorsing, but I always keep an eye, right? I always keep an eye, to see where they draw their alliances with the priorities of the members that actually represent our district. And so, yes, I endorse based on, all of the allies that we see supporting them, but always keeping an eye towards what when called upon to support our priorities, do they?
District 5, you've got Carla Griego going up against Graciela Grace Ortiz, a teacher and parent against a teacher and city council member. I'm going with Griego. I like the fact that she was endorsed by UTLA, but is not completely anti-charter schools. She just is calling for more transparency from charter schools. I like that balance. I like the fact that she has worked to reduce class sizes and put more nurses and librarians back in schools.
Yeah, I think you're touching on all the key points that I agree with. I like the experience as well on that race. So I think, for listeners that are living in District 5, that's probably the strong choice.
Look at us. We got through the city council, the school board, and we'll be back with more. We're going to continue this conversation going through the ballot quickly with Ed and Dominique. You're welcome to chime in, but we're trying to help you. You can get out your ballot and make marks, agree, disagree, question mark. Let's do this. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB Marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Bad Ash Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
For Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out.
Pour Downy in the rinse straight.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
KBLA Talk 1580 is here for you as you make your voting plan. And we've got a few things you may want to know. In the state of California, you can register to vote all the way up until the last day to vote, which is November 5th. In LA County, you may vote at any voting center or polling place of your choosing. Early voting has already started, both in person and by mail. If you need information about your registration or any election question, call the Registrar of Voters at 800-815-2666. That's 800-815-2666, or visit lavote.gov. Once you fill out your mail-in ballot, you may drop it in any county election mailbox found outside places like libraries, or you could drop it off with a poll worker at any vote center. If you suspect election foul play, voter suppression or intimidation, or other irregularities, or if you need to know more about your rights, call the Election Protection Hotline at 1-866-OUR-VOTE. That's 866-687-8683. From any state. And if you need more information on specific candidates or propositions, check out our interviews and analysis on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, November 5th is the last day to vote, and the sooner we do it, the better. Helping you vote like your life depended on it, because it does. Your election information station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, a special good morning to all of our KBLA delegates in the YouTube chat. They've always got it going on in there. All you have to do is go youtube.com and KBLA 1580, and you can find us. And by the way, please like, subscribe, and comment while you're there. It's all free. So Ed Sanders is with me. We're going through our ballots. I'm on to these LA County measures. Measure A. This is a housing measure. It's a quarter of a penny sales tax that will replace the HH funding, which runs out, I think, in 2026, if I'm not mistaken. No, it runs out in 2027. This would replace it with a new permanent half-cent tax, which is actually just a quarter of a cent increase. I'm voting yes. What are you doing? Or what are you thinking?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really am not. I always worry about, the incremental half-cent taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I know we need to find ways to finance some of the major issues, but I'm also, trying to raise a family and like most of us. And, I think one of the key issues facing the electorate is cost, right? Everyone is saying, the cost of living.
Yeah, but this isn't just key issues. This is homelessness, which is the issue, right?
This is true. But if you go back cycle after cycle after cycle, we're consistently talking about half-cent taxes here, there. And so I just wanted to put it in sort of. So
you haven't decided yet. You haven't decided.
I haven't.
Do you have a voting plan? Because mine is I'm voting tomorrow morning. I'm going to finish filling out my ballot tonight, and then I'm going to take it to an early voting center tomorrow. You can take them to any center. I think I saw some statistics that people are.
I'm a traditional voting guy. I like to go into the ballot, into the
on election day.
Polls on Tuesday.
Yeah, on election day.
So,
okay.
Sunday morning we'll sit down and a group of us will talk through,
mm-hmm.
some of the stuff that we're consistently undecided on, and kind of lean in. I get where on that particular issue, I get and understand the need for the revenue because the issue is at the forefront. But
right, and because it's replacing a stream that's there. If we don't do anything about it in 2027, we could have, we probably won't, but we could have Mayor, Rick Caruso or Mayor Daryl Gates or whatever. And then the homelessness, funding falls off, and then people lose jobs, and the rate of folks falling into houselessness increases dramatically. And that would be a problem. So I'm voting yes. But I can see some, given the problems with the oversight for the unhoused and the fact that a lot of these programs seem to be going along doing a just okay job, I can see your hesitancy.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's also just sort of, keeping costs moderate for everyone. That
are we turning into
struggling, right?
Are we turning into an austerity guy, Ed?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, always
gosh.
that. I mean, like
what dadhood will do to people. Okay. Well, so we'll agree to disagree on that one. Molly Bell says she says I voted in person at the Dollarhide Center. I spoke with KBLA and other radio personalities, and her outside time has been limited. Good job, Molly Bell. Okay, let's keep it pushing. Let me know if you figured. Yeah, let me know if you figured that one out. Measure E. I think we talked about this already. This is a parcel tax of 0.06 cents per square foot. Raises money for the LA County Fire Department. I'm voting yes. I think with the climate emergency, an investment in having enough firefighters so everything doesn't burn down is important. Your thoughts?
I think it is. I think the issue is right to address. I don't think the issue is funding it through a parcel tax, though.
So you're no on.
So I'm voting no.
Wow,
yeah.
We have a fiscal conservative here in the House. Okay, Measure G. This is to expand the Board of Supervisors, which I generally think is a good idea, but I not this way. Expand the because, first of all, Supervisor Holly Mitchell has come out strongly against this. It's divided the board. She says it's been done hastily and not carefully. But not only that, I don't like turning the county CEO into an elected position. I think the LA County as a body already moves at a snail's pace. And if we politicize the CEO, it's going to slow it down even more. I wonder if, I kind of am beginning to think sheriffs shouldn't be elected, but appointed and hired and fired at the will of the Board of Soups. I'd like to expand the Board of Soups, but not with Measure G. I'm voting no.
Yeah, I'm a no as well. I honestly, I don't see the value in adding extra members. I think it really is more born out of political expediency than any true, improvement in the county process.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. So it's not just your fiscal conservatism here. Some other things going on.
No, I mean, like when you think about it,
because it is going to cost us a bunch of money.
Go to 9.
Yeah.
Right. You increase the cost of the supervisors because now either you're declining staff for the current supervisors or you're adding new staff members. I don't know. I don't see what it improves.
Each supervisor would
think that should be an elected.
I think each supervisor would have 1 million people instead of like 2 million people, which is probably good. I mean, most of these supervisorial districts are as big as like whole cities and whole, states in some cases. I think they should be smaller, but I just don't like the way this one came about, and I think the county CEO being elected is going to be a problem.
Yeah, the size for me is less of it. I mean, like in the end game, I think you're zeroing in on one of the things that we agree with. Like that county CEO spot, I think should be appointed and held accountable to the board as opposed to publicly elected. But again, in the end game, I don't see what it helps facilitate by adding members.
The LAUSD Measure US is a $9 billion school construction bond to upgrade and modernize LAUSD school facilities. This is, it needs 55% to pass. This is a property tax of 2.5 cents per $100 of assessed property value. I'm voting yes. Our schools need air conditioning. It is very, very hot. Some of these schools, if you've been to them, look pretty run down.
They do, and LAUSD just has, I think, in the coming years. I mean, we talked about some of the candidates on the board side, but when you look at their budget, I think the first thing is sort of the federal funding that came out of COVID is expiring, but the declining enrollment is also reducing their revenue. And so, the LAUSD is going to be, those budget decisions are going to be really tough over the next couple of years. But your point is, in this measure is there because the infrastructure at a number of different schools is an issue. As students, you've got to have facilities that work. And that's sort of the first piece. You got to be able to build the schools in order to have the students.
Up against the clock here, Ed, starving myself to life says you're not a fiscal conservative, you're fiscally conscious. I'll continue our conversation after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know from BIN News. Donald Trump is suing CBS News for $10 billion, alleging the network edited a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris to portray her positively. The lawsuit claims CBS engaged in partisan and unlawful acts of election and voter interference and substantial news distortion. An Arizona judge ruled that around 98,000 voters' names must be released due to a technical glitch. These voters with driver's license issued before 1996 lacked proof of U.S. citizenship on file. A Florida man, Everett Chad Nelson, is facing assault charges after allegedly attacking a sleeping passenger on a flight from San Francisco to Washington, D.C., leaving the cabin bloody. Nelson could face up to a year in prison. And rapper Young Thug is being freed from prison after renegotiating a plea deal in his Georgia trial. Thug was indicted in 2022 related to charges of running an alleged gang called Young Slime Life. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron James has more than 200 million followers combined on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter. The Lakers star told his followers he's endorsing Kamala Harris for president. In his message, LeBron wrote, "When I think about my kids and family and how they will grow up, the choice is clear to me. Vote Kamala Harris." With his message, LeBron included video clips of Donald Trump and comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who made the controversial comment about Puerto Rico during a recent Trump rally at Madison Square Garden in New York. Among today's athletes, LeBron has been at the forefront of speaking out against social injustice and raising awareness on the importance of voting. The Lakers are at Toronto today, 4:30 tip-off. The Clippers are 0-3 in their new home, the Intuit Dome. They lost to Phoenix last night, 125-119. 40 points for Suns guard Devin Booker. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Angelenos, it is critical to vote down ballot this November, especially for our local judges. Judges make major decisions, not just in our criminal courts, but also in our family, juvenile, small claims, and housing courts across LA County. This November, we must elect community lawyers who will bring their informed legal experiences to the LA Superior Court. The defenders of justice are Erica Wiley for seat number 48 and George Turner for seat number 39. If you live in LA County, they will be on your ballot. Ad paid for by the Justice PAC by La Defensa, a project of Tide's advocacy for Turner and Wiley for Judge 2024. Top funders include Patty Quillen and Smart Justice California Action Fund. To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
So this new dose is... nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
For older adults in LA County, staying connected is more important than ever. Free Wi-Fi access helps you keep in touch with loved ones, stay informed, and manage your health through telehealth services. Whether video chatting with family, following news, or accessing health info, the internet is here to help. Don't miss out. Find your connection at libraries, parks, and community centers. To learn more about these resources, visit lacountyandU.com. That's lacountyandU.com.
This is Jasmine Canick, and I want to talk to you about one of the most important elections facing our community. Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon is running for re-election, and he deserves our vote. In the 4 years he's been in office, he's put safety and fairness first, but also stood up against racism and injustice. He's exonerated over a dozen Black and Latino men wrongfully incarcerated for crimes they did not commit, and that's what we put him in office to do. Join Supervisor Holly Mitchell, Congressmember Sidney Kamlager-Dubb, and vote to re-elect George Gascon for DA on or by Tuesday, November 5th. Paid for by George Gascon for LA District Attorney 2024.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you indeed, Dominique DiPrima and Ed Sanders on a Freedman Friday going through this ballot. And we're doing a good job going rapid fire, so I'm just going to distract you one tiny bit. Are you going to the Dodgers parade?
You know, it's on the calendar.
It's today. Miles, are you going to the Dodgers parade?
No, ma'am, but I hear it's going to be a sight to see, though.
Yeah, it's going to be. That's for sure. LA knows how to turn up. Yeah, I got my blue on still today. You know, I'm hoping that the Dodger blue is the beginning of a blue wave going across the country.
I like that. Carry that forward.
So you'll have to let us know how it is if you go. I'm not big on crowds, so I probably won't go, but you never know. I could get that last minute inspiration. Okay, so we're going to statewide measures. Proposition 2. This is $10 billion in bonds to invest in K through 12 community college and technical education programs. Prop 2, I still haven't decided. I'm leaning no. Because, as I said before, the way that it's set up looks like it disadvantages, because it's first come, first serve, and you have to have matching funds, that it disadvantages low-income schools.
Good hit. And wow, it's funny when we haven't talked about something, but we agree on it. But that's I saw that, and I agree with you in that assessment. I'm a no on 2.
You're a strong no. Okay. Well, you know, we haven't agreed on too many, so that's interesting that we both agree no on Measure G, and we're both kind of leaning no on, well, you're already hard no on 2. I'm leaning no. Proposition 3, this puts the right to marriage equality into our Constitution. That's a hard yes for me. I mean, come on now. Marriage equality, let's try to MAGA-proof our state.
Yeah, and that, I don't know that there's much opposition to that, but I'm yes on 3 as well.
Prop 4 is a strong yes for me. We may differ on this one. This authorizes $10 billion for climate and environmental projects, but that also means shoring up our water infrastructure. It means wildfire, and extreme heat reduction projects. It means investing, from my understanding, at least $75 million over here in the Baldwin Hills Conservancy. And what I'm reading shows that if we spend this money now in prevention for what is coming with the climate emergency, it will actually save us tens of billions of dollars that we will have to spend if we kick the can down the road for another 20, 30 years.
Yeah, the work that I do in the space, in the water space, is about creating access to water, and Prop 4, I'm a plant a flag and yes for that. I wish it were actually more funding coming down. There's about $3.8 billion for projects that create safe drinking water throughout the state. And I think for everyone that's thinking about this, when you start thinking about the last 10 years of droughts and then sudden rains, the question of how we capture water, the question of how our terrain deals with wildfires.
Yeah.
Every year we're seeing the news stories, and the truth of the matter is we have to invest in the types of projects that begin to help protect us from the intense damages. We can do things to mitigate the dangers of wildfires, but we certainly need to do things to help us collect and store more water.
Yeah, we have to ensure our water. So you're willing to spend money on that. And if you look at Spain, where a year's worth of rain fell in one day and almost 150 people there are dead, it's just, we have to start getting realistic about, dealing with a climate emergency in a preemptive way. Prop 5, this changes the amount, the percentage of voters you need to pass a bond measure from 65% to 55%, which is still higher than normal, but is more reasonable. And I'm voting yes on Prop 5.
Ari, I'm on a sort of a constitutional side. I'm a no. I don't want to lower that threshold. And it's probably a little quirky, but I feel like if you're going to put a spending measure on the ballot, it should be that 2/3 threshold. Otherwise, the legislature should just do it.
Well, okay, but this would make it harder. This keeps it the way it is, which makes it extremely hard to pass bonds for things like affordable housing and houseless people's shelters and housing, permanent supportive housing, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to agree to disagree, but I'm a strong yes on this.
The legislature.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, the legislature could do it, right? And so if the legislature doesn't do it, I think it should take 2/3 of the people to put it on, not half.
Agreeing to disagree on that. I'm pretty sure we do agree on Proposition 6. I can't believe this is behind at the polls. It ends in voluntary servitude, a.k.a. prison labor in California. Do you want to compete with a prisoner who's being paid 12 cents an hour for a job? Do you want to force prisoners to work when some of them may be mandated to do things like take parenting classes so they could reunite with their children when they get out? Do you want to underwrite corporations to pay slave wages? So we're paying $137,000 a year to keep someone in prison, and the corporation is renting them out for 12 cents an hour. To me, that is all bad. Emphatically yes on Prop 6.
Yeah, I am too. I remember when we first talked about this, I think a couple months back. This was one that you kind of look at and you see how it's struggling, and this is the one that worries me for the electorate, right? Like, this shouldn't be an issue, but this is an eye opener in California that this one is struggling at the polls.
I think it's partly because people are on this, law and order clapback thing where they're like, oh yeah, bring back the 3 strikes, put everybody in jail, prisoners should work. But you're not thinking about it. If you want more jobs, make corporations pay at least the minimum wage and not hire prison labor. And speaking of the minimum wage, Prop 32 raises the minimum wage to $18 an hour for employers with over 26 employees by 2026. If you've got less than 25 employees, it takes a little longer to get to 18. I'm a strong yes on 32. Apparently this one is also looking like it's tied.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. This is one that I'm not sure should be statewide. I agree, and I think we started the show with affordability, right, and talking about that as sort of a key issue. I recognize that the cost of living in LA is different than the cost of living in some of the smaller
And
counties.
in LA and San Francisco and Santa Barbara and San Diego, basically any city.
Yeah, but then there are other regions of the state where the cost of living is not the same as LA, and my heart says I want everyone to be able.
So
to
you're
get
like,
that
F the
18
people in
threshold.
Fresno, they don't deserve $18 an hour.
Well, I think it's something that's that yeah, right. That sounds horrible, but if it's 18 in Fresno, that means it probably should be higher in LA.
Right.
And if you all it does, so at any rate, I'm probably a yes on it from my heart, but I am looking at it like it. I don't know that it needs to be a statewide floor like
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, really, for LA, it should be like $28 an hour. We're not going to get there, but I think the reality of this is it probably gets you where you should be if you're in Fresno, right? And doesn't get us where we should be in LA. So, and cities can still do their own local ordinances to raise the wage, right? But
right, exactly. In fact, we worked on the one here in Los Angeles a couple of years ago to get it to $15, and so I don't want to sound like I'm being cruel towards that.
Right, but my
really
argument to you, because I know you're a labor guy, is let's at least get everybody's wages to where they should be in Fresno, and then we can work on a higher wage for LA, San Diego, San Francisco, San Jose, etc.
You're right. Let's do it.
Moving on. We can agree to whatever I say yes.
Well, you got to find a way to have a conversation about it,
Yeah. Prop 33 repeals the Costa-Hawkins bill, which is a really dumb bill that says, I thought it was 1995. Anything built after 1978 is exempt from rent control. This is I just a strong yes for me. I think the ads are very deceptive. They're saying it does all these things that it doesn't. All it does is remove Costa-Hawkins and put the control over how much we can limit rent increases in the hands of local cities and counties, which I think is a good thing. Your thoughts, Ed?
I'm trying to be contrary here, but I'm a yes with that. I do have issues with it. I do have issues with sort of the free market of it. I know that sounds
conservative.
as they come.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
so if you have problems with the free market of it, then that would mean you are against the whole concept of rent control.
In some ways, yeah, I get the purpose and it does make sense and it helps and it's necessary because you've got to have a workforce in your major cities. I've also seen the other side of it where I think I worry more about minority property ownership, and I've seen families that have acquired property and the rent control keeps the revenue down and people end up having to sell properties. But that limits the number of minorities that can own property.
I mean, but that's different
that's
than what you said, which was free market. So, woohoo, open season, predatory capitalism. I think a lot of these things should have carve-outs for mom and pop landlords, not just BIPOC or minority ones, but all mom and pop landlords. And I think the city of LA really needs to work on that because, they're making it harder and harder for mom and pop landlords. But this is just allowing cities and counties to set their own rules.
Right.
And if minimum wage should be adjustable to markets, I think that rent control should be too.
I agree with you. And I raise those issues because those are the ones that sort of rise to the forefront, and I start with a pause and I think eventually I come to the conclusion that you have. But I have to raise those issues to kind of think about it and talk through
All right, we got a few more propositions. Maybe we'll get to some other offices. We'll continue. Ed Sanders and Dominique DiPrima, we're going through your ballot. You can get it out and mark down who you agree with or how you're leaning. Let's get it done. It's your election information station, KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
This is Assemblymember Tina McKenna reminding you to vote for my girl, Sade Alawari, for State Assembly. Sade is a part of our community, and she's the partner I need in Sacramento to help fight for economic justice, affordable housing, health care, and so much more. Sade is just like us. She comes out of our community, and she spent years working in our community, bringing people together. That's why she's endorsed by Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Supervisor Holly Mitchell, teachers, firefighters, and Planned Parenthood advocates. This is Tina McKenna, and I need you to make a plan to vote and to vote by Tuesday, November the 5th, for Sade Alawari for State Assembly.
Ad paid for by Opportunity PAC, a coalition of teachers, nurses, faculty members, school employees, and public and private labor, healthcare, and environmental organizations. Ad committee's top funders, California Teachers Association, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking to improve your situation? LA County is here to help. Free Wi-Fi can help you find job opportunities, stay on top of your health, and connect with vital resources. Whether you're seeking employment, healthcare info, or support services, the internet can open a lot of doors. Don't let the digital divide hold you back. Find your connection at libraries, parks, and community centers. To learn more about these resources, visit lacountyandU.com. That's lacountyandU.com.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Talking with Ed Sanders, trying to get through as much of the ballot on this speed round as possible. So we'll head, Ed, right to Prop 34. I'm voting no on this because when you cut through all the brouhaha, what it really does is try to limit what nonprofit organizations can spend their money on. Hard pass.
Yeah, I agree. There's, this is one of those that I really want the legislature to take a look at, as opposed to doing it via a proposition. There's so many different issues, and it really does take someone to put the time in, as opposed to putting it forward to the electorate. I think this is something that should be handled legislatively, so I'm a no on that.
In other words, let the lawmakers make laws. Prop 35, this is about managed care, Medi-Cal, the Medicaid program, and it tries to lock in those tax revenues and make the revenue, make them spend the money on health care spending priorities. These are the kinds of things I feel that the legislature absolutely should do, and I'm voting no.
I agree. Yes, absolutely. it's tough because, the issue presented is something that I think our hearts lean towards, like, yes, but I think you've got to give the latitude to the legislature and governor to make the state budget as opposed to locking them in.
I mean, the other thing is that, I felt a little bad because I saw that MLK Hospital sent out an email urging us to consider a yes on this. So you may want to follow up on that if you want, but I'm still sticking with my no.
Yeah, same here. And again, I think when you look at something like MLK, the advocates and the leadership that support MLK in the state assembly can deliver their funding, and as opposed to locking in that revenue stream, as a fixed part of the budget.
Prop 36, this is a hell no for me. This is, let's go back to the 3 strikes, overcrowded prisons, the bad old days. It is an attempt to overturn many of the reforms from Prop 47. And if you are feeling like there should be stronger penalties for retail crime, well, then, I mean, that's your prerogative. But the legislature already did it. So this is just extra. Plus, it's pulling tons of money out of supportive services, mental health, housing, and other things, and putting it right back into the prison industrial complex. Your thoughts, Ed?
I think you're nailing it. I mean, when you look at, who put it on and why they're putting it on, it really is to sort of rile up the electorate. And the truth of the matter is we've spent so much time through the years talking about criminal justice reform. You start with it fiscally. Just the cost of housing an inmate is what, $100,000 a year.
137 is the last quote I heard. That's crazy.
Is it? Yeah, and it's not sustainable for us to increase penalties for what essentially are low level crimes, and have to bear the cost of that as all of us would. But the point is that it's been put on to sort of move the needle against criminal justice reform. It's what'll bring a Nathan Hoffman board as the DA here.
Well, since you went there,
LA County.
Yes, indeed. That's one county thing we didn't talk about, the DA. Everyone knows that I'm supporting George Gascon. And by the way, we won't get to the judges, me and Ed, today, but I posted on my Instagram, DiPrima Radio, who I'm voting for judge if you're interested in that. I haven't done a full slate, but I have my judge picks up there. You want to say something about DA? Everyone knows I'm supporting Gascon.
No, and I think you're right. I mean, look, we suffered through this a couple of years ago when we elected Villanueva on as sheriff, right? And I think we're going to get sort of that same thing. I hope that there's an incredible turnaround and Gascon, survives and wins. I think all the headwinds are that the race is in trouble, but I think what we get in the DA's office now is someone that rolls back a lot of the thinking around not just locking people up. I feel like Hoffman is going to come in and sort of be under this mandate to hit all of these conviction numbers, and that just does not bode well. It has never boded well for our community. So I'm fearful of a Hoffman DA coming in. So,
I mean, it reminds me. It really, both of the 36 Hoffman. It reminds me of the 3 strikes because I was on the radio then, and it's like you try to warn people, but somehow we fool ourselves into thinking that electing a lock 'em up former Republican, now he's an independent. He was a Republican until like a year ago or 2 years ago. who is backed by the former Republican DA, from the Darrell Gates years, that somehow we fool ourselves into thinking this is going to make us safer, or that Prop 36 and taking away money from mental health services, taking away money from housing and supportive services and the things that actually make us safe is going to make our communities more secure, and it just hurts my heart.
It does. And the worst part about it is the law enforcement support, right? When you start to see the police unions just emphatically out there, for that ideology, what that means is they don't want the accountability. They want, what Trump says, give them full immunity. And that's the worst part of it for me, is the real pain that can come out of that.
Well, thank you so much, Ed Sanders. It's always fun, as Molly Bell says in the chat, agreeing to disagree with you and agreeing where we agree. I think we're both pretty strong to reelect George Gascon. No on 36, yes on 6. And to me, those are the most important things on the ballot.
Indeed. Thanks for having me on today. Hope you have a great weekend. Go Dodgers, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Yeah, if I don't see you at the parade. The Dodger Parade is today. It is a Freedman Friday, and yes, Cam Howard will join us, get an update on his Earn the Vote reparations campaign in this election season. That's straight ahead after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know from BIN News. Donald Trump is suing CBS News for $10 billion, alleging the network edited a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris to portray her positively. The lawsuit claims CBS engaged in partisan and unlawful acts of election and voter interference and substantial news distortion. An Arizona judge ruled that around 98,000 voters' names must be released due to a technical glitch. These voters with driver's license issued before 1996 lacked proof of U.S. citizenship on file. A Florida man, Everett Chad Nelson, is facing assault charges after allegedly attacking a sleeping passenger on a flight from San Francisco to Washington, D.C., leaving the cabin bloody. Nelson could face up to a year in prison. And rapper Young Thug is being freed from prison after renegotiating a plea deal in his Georgia trial. Thug was indicted in 2022.